Hi everyone. So in this video, we are going to be exploring the Desmos program and how we're going to be using that to switch over from Fathom and start using it to create bivariate data models. We're going to start with going to desmos.com. So if you are here, you're going to go www.desmos.com. If you already have an account, that's great. If not, you're going to want to set up an account. So when you click Start Graphing, if you have an account, you're going to want to sign in. If not, create an account. And when you create an account, I would go ahead and just use your school email. So I'm going to sign in. All my stuff is already programmed in. It's pretty easy. So a few features I want to show you. You can click here to title your graph just like you would title a Google Doc or a Word document. And I'm going to title this Manatee Deaths and hit save. Sounds kind of morbid, but you'll see what the data is. And so that's why I'm going to title it this. If you click here on these three lines where it says Open Graph, you will see all of these graphs that I have saved from over the years. I don't really get rid of anything very often. I probably should go clean them up. So back here though. So I click save, and now this is like a file that I have saved here in the program. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to start by creating a folder. So you go to hit add, and I'm going to hit a folder, and I'm going to call it data. And then I'm going to click enter. So what that means now is anything that I enter through here is going to be filed into this folder, and I'm going to be able to collapse it or expand it as I need. And what I need to do is I need to actually go get the data that I want. So if I go into my Google Drive, I have a bivariate data Google Sheet that has been shared with you. Go ahead and open it with Google Sheet so that we can access our data. Waiting for it to all come up. You can see I have all of our data files here, but we are specifically looking for manatee deaths right here. And I have the year. It says the following data was obtained by the Florida Marine Patrol in Tallahassee back in 2003. So here are all the years. Here are motorboat registrations in the thousands, and then manatee deaths from that year. So since it's bivariate data, I'm only going to pull the two variables I'm interested in, and I'm interested in what happens as the motorboat registrations increases to manatees and their deaths. So I go in here, I'm just going to click Command C to copy. If you want, you are also welcome to actually highlight it, and then you can copy. And then I'm going to come here and I'm just going to paste this in. It doesn't look like I'm going to allow me to paste, but I can hit Command V and it'll paste my data in. So what I want you to notice is it says X sub 1, and now I have all my X values. You need to take note that those were the motorboat registrations in thousands. Y sub 1 are the manatee deaths. And here, all of these points are here on my scatter plot. It went ahead and it redid these axes for me, but I can manually go into graph settings right here, and I can adjust my X and Y axis as I want to. So I can make this a grid or not. So if I unclick this, there will be no grid, but I want there to be a grid. Axis numbers, I can click those off, but I want them. Minor grid lines, I can click those off if I want, but I actually want them. Arrows, I can add those in. You can see that the arrow just popped up here, and I'll keep them, why not? All right, so x-axis, what I want to do is I'm going to add a label. So this was motorboat registrations in thousands. So notice how that is showing up right here, telling me what my x-axis is. And then I'm going to adjust my x-axis. It looks like my lowest value is 447. So I'm going to make this 400 as my lower value for my x. Highest is 719. I'll go to like 750, just so I have a little bit of room on the sides. And step size, I'm going to make it a 1, but you can make it, like if I made it 100 and I click enter, you can see now it goes 400, 500, 600. That's what the step size is. I'm just going to make it a 1. So now my axis goes from 400 to 750. And it's going at unit lengths of 1. So now let's look at the y-axis. Right now it's going negative 25. I really don't need that many negative values. I think I'll go from negative 5, and then it looks like my highest value here is 50 for my y's. So I'm going to change this to 55, again with a step size of 1. And I need to give it a label, and these were manatee deaths. See how it popped up right here. And then always stay in radians. This is going to be pertinent if we do trig with Desmos, but just stay in radians. So here we go, and I have a nice picture of the scatter plot. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to collapse that folder. Notice that it goes from 1 to 3 when I do that, because 2 is just hiding. And now I'm going to create another folder. So you're going to go add folder, and I'm going to call this my model folder. And I'm going to click enter so that everything that comes after this is going to be in that folder. So I look at this data and I'm thinking, what type of model should I use? A linear or a quadratic or maybe other? I think I'm going to start with a linear model. So what I'm going to do is I'll have f of x equals, and then my linear model is a times x minus h plus k. And see how it prompts me to add a slider for a, h, and k? And yes, I'd like to add a slider for all of them. So now what I have is I have a blue line, and it is showing the equation y equals 1 times x minus 1 plus 1. First, I'm going to try and set my h and k, so I need to figure out what I want to use for that. If I'm going in the center here, I think I'm going to use maybe 575 for h. I can just type this in. For k, I'm going to maybe use 30. I hate when it does that. Then I can get my anchor point here. So now I need to adjust my a, and it looks like this slope of 1 is too steep, so I'm going to have to go less steep. See how it's moving like really quickly? We can adjust these sliders. So go here, if you just click on it, you can say, all right, I only want my slider to go from 0 to 1 with a step size of 0.01. What this will do is it will take my slider, and now it only goes from 0 to 1, and the step size is 0.01. So as I move it, as I slide it, it's going very slowly because that step size is small. I could do this for h too. Like if you think about what h values you're going to use, you're not going to use anything lower than the negative numbers. It looks like I'm probably going to use something to 400 to maybe 700. I can do a step size of 1 there. And now you can see it goes from 400 to 700. I probably didn't even need that wide of a range, but I can kind of adjust my model there. K value, the same thing. I think it's going to hover somewhere around 30, so I could maybe go from 20 to 40 with a step size of 1. And so now you can adjust your model. So you get your model and you say, all right, I think that looks pretty good, but we know that it might look good, but it might not be very good once I analyze the residuals. So what I need to do is I actually need to plot the residuals. This is where Fathom was really easy to use, and Desmos is going to be pretty easy too, but it's going to be different. So what I have to do is I have to get the residuals to show up on my horizontal axis down here. So I'm going to collapse my model for now. I might have to come back to it. I'm going to go back to my data. So here I have a table, x sub 1, y sub 1, and I know that these are all of these purple points here. I'm going to need to create more points to represent these residuals. So think about what the residuals are. The residuals are going to be the difference from your data to your model. So my data are y sub 1 minus my model. Remember, I called my model f of x. So I am going to subtract f of x sub 1. What that does is that's going to go point for point. Oops, I cancel, I don't want to get out of there. Point for point, this point right here, if I take this point and subtract the y value from the model, there I see my residual. Then I can go to this point, and it goes point for point. The 21, which is the y value minus the model, that will be the difference, the 4.48. Point for point, here I go. 24 minus my model, gives me this 4.96, and I can get all of those differences here. What's nice about this is you can actually see the y values. So in Fathom, we kind of were guessing what those were, but now you can see their actual values, so that's really nice. So let's say you were really just not feeling the colors here. You did not want these to be purple and black. What you can do is you can go into Edit and see here it's purple. I can actually change my points to like red. I really want red. Then I can go here to the black points and say, you know, I'm feeling Christmas. I want them to be green. I could go here, see my model is blue. Oh, I'm not feeling it. I want that to be purple. Or you can make it black, red, blue, you know, really whatever you want. I'm gonna keep it at purple. And then you can click done. So that's how you can change the colors if you're really feeling the change. So I'm gonna collapse my data again now that I have it. And now I need to analyze these residuals. So what you could do is you could go into these graph settings, and to really analyze the residuals, you're gonna have to change this y-axis. Like I really don't need to see the data right now. I really need to see these residuals. So -9, maybe I wanna change that to like a -10 just to make it nice. It looks like the highest residual was at like 5, so maybe I'll make this 10 as well. So now you can really see the residuals and what's going on. I can even move this to the left if I want. So now you're at your model and you can say, all right, I need to adjust my model. Notice the residuals moving as you adjust A. And then you just want to make sure there's no clear pattern. Looks like there's no clear pattern. You can remember the H is going to make it go up and down. Same thing with the K. Remember the function H is moving left or right, and when you change K, it's moving up and down. Look at the residuals. They're kind of doing the same thing. So I think I'm going to settle about here. I might move up a little bit. I think I'm going to settle. Right here. I think there's no clear pattern. I'm not saying they're small, but I don't think they're going to get much bigger. And now I will go back to my graph settings and adjust my y-axis again. I believe we had it around 60, was that right? Maybe 55 is where we had it. So now I can see those residuals and I can see my model. And there we go. So now it's time to do your analysis. In the analysis, you give me the independent variable, which would be your motorboat registrations in the thousands, your dependent variable, which is the manatee deaths, your model for this function with your sliders. Let me click through here. It would be y, or f of x if you wanted to, equals 0.13 times x minus 567 plus a 30. And then you could use that to answer questions and make predictions. You would also have to analyze the residuals, so you'd say there's no clear pattern, so therefore my model is appropriate. For the size of the residuals, I think they're going to be about medium to large. If you look again at your data, you can see the range in my y values in my data is sitting between 13 and 50, so that would be about a 37 unit difference. If I look at these residuals here, my lowest is this -9.67, it looks like. Let's round that to -10. Highest is 5.18. Let's round that to 5, so you see a difference of 15. So if I take 15 out of 37, you're looking at a little under 50%, but it's pretty good size relative. So I'm going to say they're medium to large, and thus my model may not be a great predictor, but it is appropriate, which is positive. So that is just a little bit about data with Fathom, how we're going to analyze data. What you can do then is make sure you click Save. That way, if I were to go to another model, here's a sneak peek at light intensity, one that we'll be doing later on, and I wanted to go back to manatee deaths, I could click back to that, and all of the work that I've done hasn't disappeared. I hope you find this helpful.